Good morning and welcome to BBOC Live, presented by BetMGM. It's 10:30 a.m. Eastern, and this is the Week 8 college football betting preview. I'm Stuckey, and joining me, as always, are my fellow BBOC co-hosts, Collin Wilson, and of course, the one and only Mr. Brett McMurphy. We have a lot to get to today. We'll give our three best bets, as usual. We'll talk two marquee matchups, including Penn State, Ohio State, and Tennessee, Alabama. We'll also bring in our fellow BBOC co-host, Mike Calabrese, for his group of five bet of the day. And of course, talk with the universally loved, respected, and admired Darren Ravel for a quick market report and why everyone comes here for his free money fade Ravel. We'll also throw a little round robin action in there as well. Before we do get started, I want to remind everyone to make sure you download the award-winning Action Network app. You can find all of our bets there, in addition to an abundance of data and content for today's slate and beyond. Also, as I mentioned previously, the show is presented by BetMGM. Use bonus code ACTION when signing up to get up to $1,500 paid back in bonus bets if your first bet loses. For new users in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. Terms and conditions do apply. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, before we get into our first best bet, Collin, are you itching for action after that absolutely horrendous weekday slate? I mean, Temple SMU is the only game last night. Give me a break.
Yeah, I mean, what did we say on the podcast? It's like, I don't think we can gauge how bad Temple is without EJ Warner. It made me want to bet the over in Iowa, Minnesota. That's how bad the football was last night.
Yeah, an island game. That can't be an island game. That was horrendous, but SMU marches on top of the American Conference, big one there between Florida Atlantic and UTSA, which will have major conference implications this afternoon. Brett, I know you ditched us on the new BCS during the week. You ready for a full show today?
Technical difficulties. Yeah, I'm eager for that leaderboard to pop up to show my third consecutive 2-in-1 week as I continue to climb towards the top.
Well, let's take a look at the leaderboard before we get to our best bets. Collin, you went back to your old underwear last week. I hope you're ready to roll this week to get it back on track, but a winning week for the show last week. Hopefully we can have another one. So let's kick things off with our first best bets. I'm going to go with Minnesota catching over a field goal in a game with a total of 30.5, the lowest ever if it stays here between two FBS teams. Points should come at a premium here. I just cannot ever get behind backing this Iowa team as a favorite. They arguably have the worst offense in the country. I mean, it's been pathetic, even for Iowa standards, since Deacon Hill took over at quarterback. He's completing 37% of his passes, averaging like 70 yards per game through the air. They had two reliable targets at tight end. They're both out for the year. They have no one to throw to. So what are they going to do? They're going to try to run it a bunch. They rank in the bottom 5 nationally in most rush offense metrics. This is their 8th straight game. Their defense has been on the field basically the whole game because they can't get a first down. So you could see some fatigue there. Meanwhile, Minnesota is coming off of a bye, should be fresher, should also get a few key guys back at linebacker and running back. And if you dig into the Iowa metrics, their run defense has some vulnerabilities, and that's what Minnesota wants to do. They're a complete snail, and they just want to run the ball and establish the run under Fleck. Hopefully the Greek rifle doesn't make mistakes, and Iowa doesn't have 8 punts to the 1-yard line and get 6 safeties as a result. But I have to take the dog here. Total of 30.5 against one of the worst offenses, if not the worst in the country. Give me the Gophers. Row the boat. Collin, where are you headed for your first best bet?
Well, there's going to be a lack of points in that game, but there won't be a lack of points when South Carolina and Missouri play. I'm going to take Missouri -7. I think -120 is where I would stop buying. There is some really cheap 7.5s out there. You can easily get 115 or 110 on this game on the flat 7, but Brady Cook should absolutely cook. And let's remember what we're playing for here. Eli Drinkwitz has a chance to have his first winning season ever since he's become the Missouri coach. Plus, we can get over our win total that we bet, I think, 8 months ago with these guys. So Brady Cook is going to cook here. South Carolina defensively, 120th in quality drives, 105th in coverage, and 128th in allowing pass explosives. That is not a good defensive setup when you're going up against Brady Cook, who has a 14-3 TD to INT ratio. His big-time throw ratio with turnover-worthy plays just as high. And Spencer Rattler on the other side, he is going to be under pressure all day. No running game whatsoever. And if you look into this right tackle, Vershawn Lee, he is doubtful for this game. So the guy that protects Spencer Rattler on the right side, gone. Rattler's worst coverage, if you dig into his numbers, is cover 3. Negative explosives, negative success rate. Mizzou strictly runs cover 3. I love the Tigers here today at home.
The only thing I'd be worried about is isn't it like just science that Missouri has to finish 6-6 every year? That's the only thing I'd be worried about there. But yeah, that South Carolina defense certainly has issues. Couldn't hold on to a 10-point lead last week late against Florida, giving up multiple 4th and longs against Graham Mertz. So they could be in a world of hurt against Cook, Burden, and company, and a Missouri offense that's really rolling of late. Brett, where you headed for your first bet? Same game, right?
Same game, yeah, but stuck real quick, the Iowa-Minnesota game, that'll get a lot of attention. One thing to watch out for, this is the 7th time Iowa's been in a game with a total under 35. Of the previous 6, they've won 5 of those, so hopefully they only win by 3, and you get that with the hook.
Or they could win by 2. Could have 2-0.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, 3-2. Yeah, I like this. Collin talked about Missouri and South Carolina, a lot of points. I like over 58.5. I mean, Missouri's averaging 36 points per game against Power 5 opponents. South Carolina is allowing 33 points against Power 5 opponents. South Carolina, as Collin mentioned, the SEC's worst pass defense. Both teams rank among the top 4 SEC passing offenses. And also South Carolina 3-1 over in SEC games. Missouri 5-0 every game against Power 5 opponents. South Carolina needs a win desperately to keep its bowl hopes alive. So they're gonna be desperate. And my crack research team provided me with this nugget. Shane Beamer's teams have never gone under a total when coaching with a broken foot. Oh, wait, this is his first game coaching with a broken foot. I don't care. I like the over, ton of points. I'll go along with what Collin said. So hopefully it's the Tigers with a lot of points.
Yeah, Shane Beamer kicked something after blowing that lead last week, and
but was it his fault? Generally, it's
hurt. I mean, I did the same thing, so I have a hurt foot as well after South Carolina blew that lead. But let's transition into our first marquee matchup of the day, and it's a big one at the shoe between Penn State and Ohio State. I believe this is the first time these two teams will meet in Columbus, unbeaten since 2018. James Franklin has had struggles against top 5 teams. Penn State here is a 4.5 point underdog, over under sitting around 45.5. I played the under here, wouldn't go below 45.5, 45 being a key number. But I just think, look, what I should mention that Trevion Henderson looks like he won't go. Denzel Burke, which could be important, the corner for Ohio State, looks like he won't go. Igbuka, the receiver, is questionable. So there's more injury concerns with Ohio State. But I'm still not a believer in Kyle McCord. He's put up some numbers against some horrendous secondaries, but still doesn't look comfortable in the pocket. The run game isn't there. And the offensive line still has some issues going up against what I think is an elite Penn State defense. And on the other side of the ball, I think this Ohio State defense is significantly improved in year 2 under Jim Knowles. Burke's absence will hurt, but this Penn State offense, there's no explosiveness to it. I mean, not in the run game, not in the passing game. There's a lot of unknowns here. I mean, I show a little bit of value on Penn State, but what can we make of the offense? They played nobody. They played Cupcake State every single week. And have they just not thrown it downfield because they haven't had to? Or is it just not there? That's a very difficult thing to just turn on the road against the best defense by far that you will face all season. So I think this sets up as a grinder. Can Penn State take away Harrison, and can they hit a couple explosives? That's what I'm here to watch, because Penn State, if their offense can find some explosiveness, they're a real national title college football playoff contender. We just haven't seen it yet. So it's very difficult for me to gauge where they're at offensively to back them, at a below 7. But I do like the under. I think this sets up as a very low scoring game where both defenses dominate, especially in the trenches. Collin, what are you seeing here?
A lot of the things that you said, I agree with, but I'm going to veer off a little bit of a different path here. I'm going to go with the first half under because this series, dating back to 2017, it's 10 points or less in the first quarter. And usually it is a period of 3 or 4 scripted drives where the coordinators try to figure out what the other one's going to do. So don't think for 1 second, like when I hear that Drew Aller's only attempted 11 passes over 20 yards, has that been by design by the offensive coordinator, Mike Yurcich, to show absolutely nothing on tape to try and get Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinator for Ohio State, to run cover 0 and send 8 guys on a blitz so that he can go over the top? I mean, the lack of explosives is just crazy. It's one of the biggest stories with this Penn State program is that they're not taking any shots downfield. I don't expect that to change in the first half. They'll try to establish the run. Drew Aller will hit crossers. And then on the other side, like Kyle McCord, 15 to 42 passing and a pressured pocket. He's not been very good. Manny Diaz brings 56% blitz. That's higher than any team in the nation. They have one of the highest success rates in getting that blitz home and creating pressure. I think the first half of this game is just a complete defensive grudge match. I'm a little nervous on the full game under because of what happened last year. 45 points in the fourth quarter. I just wonder when the haymakers are going to come out in this game, but I don't expect it in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, though, last year you had 2 quarterbacks who went in the first, 35 picks, including C.J. Stroud is playing really well in the NFL. The offenses were much better. Penn State just hasn't also found that, Dotson, Hamler type alpha receiver that can dominate a game. Penn State has allowed some explosives, which is a bit concerning, but I expect them to just roll coverage over and take away Harrison, which you have to do. And that's what a couple teams who have done that, Notre Dame, Indiana, have really slowed him down. And then the Ohio State offense has been slowed down as a result because McCord hasn't been great. But if Harrison's just going to get open, you don't even have to be that on target. He's that good, generational talent. Brett, what are you seeing here?
Yeah, I like Penn State getting the points. Stuck a lot of the things that you hit on. I think Penn State's been playing possum. I mean, James Franklin has 1 win against Ohio State since he got there. You look at the early schedule and please send your apologies to Cupcake State. But yeah, they haven't played anybody. Why would they show anything? Certainly you can't just turn it on, but I think they've saved some things for this game. Their defense has been lights out. You're getting points. Ohio State has had some issues offensively so far this year. I like Penn State getting the points.
Yeah, my numbers certainly show value on that side. And since I like the under, the points are obviously, I think, even more valuable. All right, let's move on to our second best bet of the day. I'm going to kick things off by fading a team that has covered every game this year against the close in Oklahoma. I'm going with the UCF Knights, catching over 17 points. I think this is the top of the value on top of the market on Oklahoma. I've obviously covered every game coming off that Texas win. Look, the narrative could be a bit different if they don't win that turnover battle 3-0. If Sark knows how to manage the clock late, if Oklahoma doesn't get a goal line stand. And I think UCF's at the bottom of the market. So this is a perfect buy low, sell high spot. UCF's lost 3 straight to start off their Big 12 campaign, but they blew a 25-point lead against Baylor. And I think there was some residual effect the week after. And they haven't had a healthy Plumlee. And by all indications, it looks like he's going to be 95 to 100%. His legs are crucial for this offense. And I think he could give this Oklahoma defense that's been much improved. And they've been very good against the run, but I think Plumlee's legs and extending drives is going to be the key here. I think Oklahoma's at the top of the market that it's been all year, so I'm fading the Sooners. Give me UCF catching over 17 with Gus Malzahn, who's been very good in his coaching career with extra time to prepare. Collin, where are you going for your second best bet?
Speaking of another Gus Malzahn team, let's take Auburn plus 6.5 hosting Ole Miss here. There's just plenty of advantages for Auburn on the ground. This is the same Auburn team we backed against Georgia in Jordan-Hare, and they just put on a display of ground game. Ole Miss is 122nd defensive stuff rate. They are not controlling the line of scrimmage against any team. They're 104th in standard down success rate on defense. What does that mean? It means Auburn's going to run the ball. with Robbie Ashford and Jarquez Hunter, and they're going to be ahead of the chains on schedule the entire day because Ole Miss has not been able to shut down anybody in standard downs. Auburn's going to be able to get down at the end of the field. And I mean, they have multiple packages with Peyton Thorne, Robbie Ashford, but because Ole Miss is so bad on the ground, I expect Ashford to have a big day for the fantasy players out there. Now, for Jackson Dart, for the quarterback Jackson Dart for Ole Miss, he's going to be limited in throwing against this Auburn secondary that ranks 30th. In the top 30 per PFF. They have 7 forced incompletions from Jalen Simpson and DJ James. They have enough defensively, so let's go ahead and buy it here. I think I power rate this at 5, so it's a little bit higher than where I would say the game is going to land, but I'm going to roll with the team that can control the clock and control the ground game at home in the SEC.
All right, War Eagle there. Brett is going to stay in the SEC. If to all of the longtime listeners out there, by the way, hit the like, subscribe. That really helps us out. I know you just didn't, but please do it. Brett's staying in the SEC. If you recall, if you've listened to the show previously, I've banned Collin from picking Mississippi State the rest of the season. And so they're on his ban list. He's not allowed to even bring them up. He gets fined every time he mentions Mississippi State. But Brett, you're actually...
I don't want another neck brace on either, so I don't need any bets like that.
Brett, you're actually fading the Bulldogs for your second best bet.
Yeah, I like Collin's Arkansas Razorbacks -6.5. Look, Arkansas, everyone looks at this and Arkansas is 2-5. You know, why are they giving almost a touchdown to Mississippi State? The number, I think, should even be bigger. They played a much significantly tougher schedule than Mississippi State. Mississippi State quarterback Will Rogers is out today. He will not play. He'll be replaced by Vandy transfer Mike Wright. But the reason why I love Arkansas has nothing to do with Mississippi State's offense. It's their defense. Arkansas's passing attack will take advantage of a porous Mississippi State defense. How bad is that defense? All 5 of Mississippi State's opponents have completed more than 70% of their passes, including 90% by South Carolina and 84% by LSU and Daniels. Look, 90% and 84%, I would have killed for those test scores when I was in school. Woo Pig Suey in what Sam Pittman calls a must-win game. Give me the Hogs, -6.5.
Yeah, pitchforks out in Hogtown. The only thing I'd be concerned about is what does Arkansas have left in the tank after just a brutal stretch of games while Mississippi State is coming off a bye. But I agree. Arkansas has been able to run the ball, so this will come down to Jefferson and his ability to pick apart a really porous Mississippi State secondary, as you mentioned. Collin, 5-second call, agree or disagree?
100% agree.
No, you're not allowed. You're not allowed to talk about it. I told you. That's a fine right there. All right, let's take a break in the action and bring in the universally loved and admired Mr. Darren Ravel for a quick market report and, of course, his fade. Ravel.
It's not going to be that quick, so I'm sorry. I got a lot of things to talk about, so it's not. Yeah, okay. Here we go. Most bet games. It seems obvious. You got Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan State, Tennessee, Alabama. Most bet teams, Penn State at 4.5. That number is now at 4. Michigan 24.5, and Tennessee 8.5. You can now get that number at 9.5. Most bet overs, South Carolina, Missouri 59.5. Michigan State 46.5, now 46. Washington State, Oregon 61.5. Most bet unders, not surprising. Penn State, Ohio State, Minnesota, Iowa still holding at that 30.5. And Air Force Navy, which the Air Force QB is back now, Stuckey, you say? Crazy. I think I had that in every combination. And most bet underdogs outright. Tennessee, obviously, plus 260. Everyone thinks they're so juicy against Alabama. Utah at 220 and Duke at plus 450. And for this week, the first week only, I am going to read the ad read, Stuckey. Okay.
Wow.
BBOC is presented by BetMGM. Use bonus code ACTION when signing up to get up to $1,500 paid back in bonus bets if your first bet loses. For new users in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And now It is time for my fade Ravel. This,
by the way, before you get into it, I just want to remind the people. Last week it was so easy with Syracuse plus 18.5 against Florida State. I think they lost by
41-3 or something. Yeah. That was a tough.
What is so easy this weekend?
This is actually the lock of the year. Okay, this is the lock fade Ravel of the year. I might even put it on Twitter as the lock of the year. I'm that confident.
Oh man.
And that is Michigan 13.5 at the first half. Why do you clap? I mean,
I got Michigan State
in the first half.
I don't have the first half, but obviously I need Michigan
I'm not
State
sure they can cover 24.5, but the first half, Harbaugh is going to get, he has all the plays, they've cheated, and they're all good.
I will say that I love that you're on this. I think this line's too high. I think it should be closer to 20. You'll get Michigan. This is Michigan State Super Bowl. I do think that if Michigan covers the first half, though, it's going to be tough for Michigan State. So I like Michigan State first half as well. You'll get everything they have here in the first half. Last year, you had the locker room incident, right? You have the stealing signs. And so Michigan's not going to let up here, right? So like I'm not betting this because I think Michigan's going to go up and then take their foot off the gas. I'm expecting Michigan State looked a little better with Hauser in a quarterback last week to just have a little more juice. Their defense has been playing well lately. If you actually look the past 2 weeks, Michigan State could have won against Iowa, those fraudulent Hawkeyes, and against Rutgers. They blew a 21-point fourth quarter lead. Bunch of special teams blunders, which concerns me. Like they can't be able to punt. They can't punt it. They lost like a bunch of talent from their special teams unit to the NFL last year. That concerns me a bit, but I think the market's just too high on Michigan, who's played nothing but cupcake states, and they will continue to do so until they play Penn State. But I like Michigan State, and I like Michigan State in the first half. But if Michigan does cover in the first half, like you like, I think they'll cover the full game. So they're not going to let up here.
Realize it's a rivalry. I got a stat for you. So public obviously hammering the 24.5. Michigan has beat Michigan State at least by that much only 5 times last 40 years, including 1985, 31-0, Jim Harbaugh, QB.
They've also only been favored over by more than 3 touchdowns 3 times against Michigan State. They failed to cover all 3. They even lost 1 outright. I think that was back in the pandemic year. Collin, do you have any thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, it's way too many points. This number should be about 15. So 24.5. I mean, it's like at what point? I mean, why is everyone so scared? I mean, the Spartans defense is fine. So I'm with it all the way, full game on Michigan State. The first half thing listen, everybody's stealing signs. All right. Michigan just got caught.
It's so true. Can I tell a quick story though? 30 seconds.
20.
The worst game I ever announced was 1999, Northwestern, Michigan State. Northwestern had -6 total yards.
Wow. All right. Well, good luck. Well, actually, no, I wish you bad luck because I have Michigan State. But thanks for the market report, Darren.
This one wins, guaranteed. It's a lock of the season.
Enjoy the day. Everyone else, you know what to do. All right, let's move on here to our second marquee matchup of the day between Tennessee and Alabama. Alabama, what looks like 8.5, 9-point favorite. Total has come down since open. I like the first half under. I think both of these teams are going to come out very run heavy. Tennessee just can't throw the ball. They can't throw the ball downfield. Their run offense is excellent, but you can't really run on this Alabama team. And then I think Alabama, look, they're giving up a ton of sacks, tackles for loss. The Tennessee defense is significantly improved. I think they're going to come out, run heavy game plan, rely on their defense, and then eventually they're going to hit some shots where Milroe excels with that deep ball. But I think this profiles as a lower scoring game, especially to start off in the first half. Collin, what are you seeing here?
That's right, NFL scouts. Jalen Milroe is a better downfield passer than Joe Milton, and I don't think that's going to be talked about at the draft next year. But listen, Joe Milton can't throw downfield. He's 8 of 25 passing, over 20 yards, just a completion percentage of 36% on throws beyond 20 yards. It's not working. And this whole offense is broken the closer it gets to the goal line. 29 red zone attempts, and only about half of them have turned out to be a touchdown for Tennessee so far. So I see extreme disadvantages when Tennessee gets into scoring position. When you flip over to the other side, the whole talk this entire week is this Tennessee defensive line. It's going to be all over Jalen Milroe, and Alabama's in big trouble. Well, it's not like they don't know the pass rush is coming. I mean, Jalen Milroe has the third highest pressure to sack ratio in the nation of any quarterback. But guess what? He has the second highest NFL grade of any quarterback that gets pressured. It's nothing new to him. This has been going on all year. He's going to be able to take off if they exceed their pass lanes or pass rush lanes. He's going to be able to complete a pass late. I like Alabama to cover all the way here. This is a revenge spot. I think they're going to lay it on the Vols.
Yeah, I'm sure Alabama has had this spot circled, which is another reason I like the first half under. I expect their defense to come out with their hair on fire. Brett, what are you seeing here?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I mean, I like Alabama to cover this game. You know, Josh Heupel, congrats. You beat Nick Saban last year, and now you get to try to become only the third coach to beat Saban in consecutive seasons. Nobody's done it in the past 9 years. The only two guys to do it, Hugh Freeze when he was at Ole Miss in 2014-15, and Les Miles at LSU in 2010 and 11. I think this Tennessee team is drastically worse than last year's team. A lot of people think that they're equal for some reason. I don't know why. You guys laid out why they're not. I just think Alabama's been psyched for this. Saban does not lose consecutive seasons to the same coach. I will take Bama laying the points.
Yeah, it's pretty stunning how poor that Milton has been, given how great the Tennessee rushing attack has been. But the wide, he just hasn't been accurate. And the wide receiver core is way worse after losing 2 pros. Brew McCoy's now hurt. And I expect Alabama to come out here with a purpose. All right, let's take another quick break in the action and let's get to our round robin parlay. Collin, why don't you kick us off here with a little anchor?
Yeah, we're going to start off with Cincinnati, steamed a little bit. So the money line price is going to be a little bit higher, but we like an anchor here to start us off. Baylor is playing atrocious football right now, 2-4 on the season. Not sure, what's going to go on with the coaching staff there at the end of this season, but they were blown out at home against Texas Tech. I don't see Baylor getting it back together and getting back on track. So, Cincinnati's the only team that's beat Cincinnati this year is themselves in every single game. So hopefully they get this one to the house.
Let's go with Minnesota. I already talked about this game earlier. I mean, this is an easy decision. Dog with a total of 30.5 against a horrific, embarrassing offense. Let's give me the Gophers.
Yeah, if you like fireworks, we're going to take Colorado State and their explosive passing attack against UNLV, who very much loves to give everybody explosives. They are one of the worst in the nation in defending pass explosives, giving up the big play, and that is all Colorado State does. So let's back the Rams here.
Let's start another Big Ten dog in here in Indiana. Big strength of schedule disparity here. I mean, look, Indiana's what? I already played Louisville, Maryland, Ohio State, Michigan. One of the hardest schedules in the country. So I think they're kind of at the bottom, the market value. Now playing a team in their weight class, and Rutgers might be a little fatigued here. No real break in the action. And they easily could have lost last week, down 21 at home in the fourth quarter to Michigan State. They got 2 special teams gifts. This is another bad offense in the Big Ten that I'm willing to fade as a favorite. Close us out.
Yeah, let's go with Old Dominion here. And if you have not paid attention to Sun Belt football, Appalachian State is not good anymore. They are the worst rushing defense in the country. That's good news for running back Keyshawn Wicks coming, and plus Old Dominion's coming off a bye here. They're very fresh. The number should be lower than it is right now. So we're going to take them to round out our round robin.
Yeah, that bye could help an Old Dominion team that's installed a new offense this season. All right, good stuff with the round robin. Looks like we're going Cincy, Cal State, ODU, Minnesota, and Indiana. Let's take another quick break in the action and throw it to Mike Calabrese for his Group of 5 bet of the day.
Thanks, Duck. For my best bet here in G5 land for week number 8, I'm going with a moneyline underdog play. Georgia State plus 145 traveling to Lafayette to take on the Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns. And the Cajuns have really feasted on inferior competition throughout this season. I think they're a paper tiger for that reason. They're 3-1 against teams outside of the Sagarin top 100. And now they're facing a Georgia State run defense that is really stout. Yes, Louisiana leads the Sun Belt with 224 yards per game on the ground, but Georgia State is top 30 in a few key metrics when it comes to their run defense. And then there's the quarterback matchup. Darren Granger has operated from a clean pocket for most of this season. The Georgia State offensive line is top 20 in avoidance when it comes to havoc. And because of that, he's thrown very few interceptions. 5 of his 6 starts, he's gone with a clean sheet, 0 picks, up against Zion Chris, the redshirt freshman for Louisiana, now in just his 4th career start. 2 of his 3 career starts, he's thrown multiple picks. I think that's going to be the difference in this game. I like Marcus Carroll out of the backfield for the Panthers as well to go over 150 rushing yards, and I think Georgia State should be favored. So I'm happy to take the plus money in this spot for a game that is absolutely critical. Now that James Madison has been ruled ineligible, they've lost their appeals. They're not going to be the representative from the Sun Belt East. That opens the door for Georgia State. So this is a critical game on their way to the Sun Belt title game. I'll go ahead and play the Panthers. All right, back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Mike. The other Mike, welcome back, Calabrese. We had to kick Ianella off the show after his Ohio pick going head-to-head with Collin last week. So hope all is well with Ianella. But welcome back, Calabrese, and good luck with your wager. One final task before we get out of here, our final best bet. I'm going to go with the mids, catching 11.5. Unfortunately, I bet this already. Still kind of like it, but Air Force's quarterback, Zach Larry, is apparently going to start. 2 days ago, he was out for a while. A while is what, 48 hours? This is crazy, but this is what you get in college football. I'm still going to take the dog here, the home dog, playing against an Air Force team, 6-0, playing its first game as a ranked team since 2010. They haven't really played anybody. They played a bunch of poor run defenses. And look, these two teams, they just know how to defend the triple option. Super low total, double-digit dog, Navy in a home hype spot, sold-out crowd, Air Force coming across the country for its first hostile environment for, a 10 a.m. Kick and for their body clock. I like Navy to keep this close, even if Air Force doesn't have to go to their backup quarterback, apparently. Go Navy. Collin, where are you going for your final best bet?
I'm going to go with Utah, heading down to the Coliseum to play USC. I know this is something you and I disagreed on the podcast, but I said that I would take 7 or 7.5. We're not going to get a 7.5 here. The Utes are coming into town to put some pressure on Caleb Williams, who I think has checked out of the 2023 season. 9-13 big-time throw to turnover-worthy play rate. That's like something from the MAC, like a mid-tier quarterback from the MAC. Last year's Heisman Trophy run, Caleb Williams was 32-11 in big-time throws versus turnover-worthy plays. I mean, he is just a shell of himself. He has 9 fumbles this season. He had 6 last year. So not really sure what's going on here. But what I do know is that Caleb struggles with cover 1 and cover 3, and Utah runs cover 1, cover 3 exclusively out of that 4-2-5 nickel defense. And when you look at the offensive side of the ball for Utah, yeah, it's a problem. But Cam Rising, I don't think is coming back anytime soon. They're going to go with Nate Johnson. He was next up on the depth chart. And what that means is Utah's going to go a ground heavy attack. And that is exactly where you want to attack USC. USC has struggled with mobile quarterbacks. Siobhan Cordero of San Jose State had 72 yards. Shedeur Sanders of Colorado had 76 rushing yards and a TD. And Noah Fafita from Arizona, the backup quarterback, he had 30 scrambling yards. So, if you're going to go up against this USC defense, go on the ground. That's what Utah's doing. Give me the points.
Yeah, I disagree here. You know what those offenses just mentioned can do? They can throw a forward pass and complete it. Utah can't do that. So I think USC could just load the box. And USC's defense, Utah's defense has played nothing but backup quarterbacks, horrendous offenses. This is a big step up for them. They also won't have their star safety for the first half. So I hope that for my sake and your sake, USC wins by 7. I laid 6.5. Brett, where are you going for your final best bet?
Yeah, Collin, not that it's a surprise, but Cam Rising is definitely not playing today. We'll see about the rest of the season. I'm going out to my favored conference, the Mountain West, for a Colorado State UNLV over 61.5. Barry Odom has quietly put together one of the best first-year coaching jobs this season. The biggest difference for the Rebels has been the offense with coordinator Brennan Marion. UNLV has scored at least 40 points in their last 4 games, and they're facing a Colorado State team which has the Mountain West worst defense. In fact, Colorado State and UNLV are among the 4 worst passing defenses in the conference, and that's not a good sign, especially for UNLV facing Colorado State's passing offense, like Collin mentioned, second nationally only to Washington and Michael Penix. As evidenced in last week's school record comeback against Boise State, Colorado State will keep flinging it until the bitter end. Finally, UNLV has gone over the last 4 games. Colorado State 5-1 to the over this season. We're indoors, fast track, over Colorado State, UNLV.
Yeah, and that Colorado State pass-heavy air raid should have some success against the UNLV pass defense that has issues. But Brett closing us out, as he normally does, with a West Coast over. So everything feels right. Good luck to everyone today. We should get things started in a little less than an hour. We'll see if Air Force starts their actual starting quarterback. I guess all's fair and love and war. And then we'll get Penn State, Ohio State shortly thereafter, because big noon kickoff is a Ponzi scheme. So it'll probably start at like 12:30. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks as always to Collin and Brett for joining me. And of course, thanks to Mike Calabrese and the University Love Darren Ravel for his fade Ravel of Michigan first half. Thanks to our producers in the back end. And thanks, of course, to all of you, most importantly, for tuning in. Make sure you hit that subscribe and like button. Don't forget about the voicemail, 959-BAD-BEAT. Don't forget to download the award-winning Action Network app if you haven't already. You can find all of our bets there in addition to an abundance of data and content for today's slate and beyond. We will have our recap episode out by Monday morning with a quick week 9 look ahead. Tuesday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, live on YouTube. We will have the new BCS, and then the group of 5 guys will be back with their preview on Wednesday. Collin and I back on Thursday for the week 9 college football betting preview. Good luck on all of your wagers today, and we will see you same time next week, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Cheers.